Gene Galin here with Asheebo Rojas. I will get that right. And we're here to do a ChathamNC Sports Roundup. We did this last week. We're going to do that this week. What I'm going to do is get rid of the overlay. That gives you an idea of some of the things we're going to cover. And Asheebo was out at the first. Let me see there. There you go. All right, perfect. Asheebo, you were out at the Chatham Central Jordan Matthews football game at Chatham Central. How'd that go?
Yeah, that was a very exciting game. Both teams went back and forth, and I think JM jumped out. They jumped out to an early lead with Nick Glover. He was all over the place. He had 4 total touchdowns, running the ball in from short yardage, long yardage. Rajay Torres also found him on a long, deep ball. I think that was in the fourth quarter. But there was plenty of impressive performances from both sides. For Chatham Central, Luke Manis had a great game. Luke Gaines is really big for them. He caught a couple of big passes that put him in scoring range, especially in the last possession that set up the dramatic final play. Chatham Central, they got all the way down to, I think, about the 10 with like a few seconds left. And Coach Little is coming up with ways to stop the clock. And they got it down there. They got a penalty that pushed them back, and then Manis attempted to find Gaines in the end zone again, but then Nick Glover came up with a big defensive stop and knocked it down in the end zone. So in the story, and you'll read about it in the story that comes out in the paper, but I really highlighted his performance. Like I said, 4 total touchdowns. He had some defensive stops for JM, and they get that first win of the season that they were really looking for. And now they got to build on that for Northwood this Friday. So very entertaining game that was on Friday.
What was the atmosphere like at Chatham Central for this game? Because you got 2 teams that aren't very far apart from each other, and a lot of folks that know each other.
Yeah, so I was talking to Coach Little a lot on the field because this is his first. Well, not his first. Well, actually, yeah, that was his first home game as the head coach at Chatham Central. And he was just out there taking it all in. Talked to him. He had a lot of his family in the stands, met his mother and his grandparents there. They were excited for him as well to see him, kind of come back to the school that they have a lot of family history with and lead the team. Packed house on both sides, really. Jordan Matthews traveled well. Chatham Central, they had people standing along the fence. It was loud all night. So pretty cool environment for that rivalry game. They had the rivalry music playing before too. Talked to one of Chatham Central's assistant coaches. He said he made the playlist. It was just all rivalry themed music. So pretty cool environment.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience the Chatham Central JM atmosphere. Hey, I told you to get a selfie of you and Coach Little's mom. Did you manage to do that?
I totally forgot. I had met her kind of like a few minutes right before kickoff because I think she was a little late coming in. But I talked to her for a few minutes on the sideline, and yeah, like I said, she really is helping to inspire Coach Little. That was her saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I know Coach Little had tweeted that during the week. So, and they're close. Chatham Central, they looked all right and pretty good against Jordan Matthews, trying to get the ball downfield. They had one of the craziest touchdowns I think I've seen with River Warren, their punter and running back. Yeah, dropped the snap, picked it up. Looked like it wasn't going to lead to anything. Jordan Matthews would have had the ball right by the goal line and probably went up 3 scores, and it probably could have turned ugly after that. But he saved it, got it to Devontae Johnson, and he ran it for 83 yards on that crazy play for a touchdown. So that really saved them at that point and kind of gave them momentum to get back in the game. They actually took the lead before halftime. I think they went in with the lead at halftime. So they played with some confidence that night. They looked like, they knew what they were doing. They were trying to get that win. Unfortunately, just didn't happen. Nick Glover, like I said, he had a really good night for Jordan Matthews.
Well, it sounds like you had a fun time there because you got this big smile on your face, which is good. Meanwhile, on the eastern part of the county, Seaforth won their game against Graham. It was, I think, 23-2. I just managed to catch the back end of that. And at Northwood, they had their Hall of Fame induction ceremony during halftime. So they got 6 new folks that have joined that group, and they won their game. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that game a little bit, because your athlete of the week has something to do with that game. So Northwood won that one. So right now we got Seaforth 1-2, 1-0 in the conference. Northwood is 1-1 in the conference. Jordan Matthews is 1-1, and Chatham Central is 0-2. So that's what we're looking at football-wise that went on this past week. Have you got anything to add to that?
The Seaforth, it was a pretty good win, a pretty good Friday for Chatham County football. Three teams won, I think, for the first time this season. So Seaforth got their first win of the season. Jordan Matthews, of course, gets their first win. Seaforth, and that win, it was more of a defensive battle. Defense came away with a touchdown on a fumble recovery, and the quarterback, Walker Entrekin, got the other 2 touchdowns on the ground for Seaforth. Both teams, like I said, got their first win. Looking to build on that. I think Seaforth they have a tough one coming up. They're playing Cummins, with the NC State commit running back, Jonathan Paler. And talking to Coach Gray about that a few weeks ago, he knows that's going to be a tough running back to handle coming on Friday. But hopefully, they can hold their own in that one and maybe pull out the upset win. I know Cummins is 3-1, so they're doing pretty good for themselves this season as well.
Is an away game, if I'm not mistaken. So you're right. It's going to be a little bit tough. One of the things I just want to touch on, folks, Asheebo and I have talked about this. One of the previous Chatham News and Record writers used to put out or ask the coach who got the game ball. So we might reach out to the coaches after the football games and ask them about who they see as now. Most Asheebo writes for the Chatham News paper comes out today. So why don't you give us a rundown of what got coming out, what stories, and also who your athlete of the week is.
Yeah, so some of the regular weekly stories. We got the football roundup, just giving you a summary of Seaforth and their win over Graham, and then Northwood and their win over Southeast Alamance. And then we have the fall sports roundup for the week. Of course, going through volleyball, boys soccer, girls tennis, and a little bit of cross country. We'll get into cross country later on in this stream. But the feature of the week was Colin Weir, junior linebacker at Northwood. He's dealing with the recent passing of his father, and so he's using football as a way to grieve and take his anger out on the field. So I wanted to really highlight, his journey. Also at home, he's got to step up and become the man of the house now. So he's handling changes at home. Also, he's playing his first year of varsity, kind of getting thrown into the fire. Coaches, realize, he's a little bit different this year. He's playing with a little bit more anger and a little bit more emotion, which has really helped him and helped his team. So I wanted to highlight him this week. And it's a very captivating story on him and just what he's been dealing with the past couple months. And you also asked about athlete of the week, right?
Yes. Who's your athlete of the week this week?
Athlete of the week this week is Carson Fortune's quarterback at Northwood. He was all over the place. He had 6 total touchdowns, 3 in the air, 3 on the ground, over 100 yards rushing and over 100 yards passing. And then on defense, he had 2 interceptions. So he was just all around dominant player. No brainer for athlete of the week when I saw that stat line, because I was, Nick Glover gave him a run for his money. And of course, there's always other athletes within volleyball, soccer that always have good weeks too. So this week was pretty cut and clear who was going to be the athlete of the week, because Carson did it on both sides of the ball. So congrats to him.
Yeah, I saw him catch one of those interceptions over on the sideline. He got in front of the opposing player, Southeast Alamance player, and just jumped the. jumped up in front of the other opposing player and got that interception. So yeah, he had a really good game. Anything else we need to talk about football that's gone on this week? Or are we ready to hit some of the other sports going on in high school?
Yeah, we hit some of the other sports.
All right, let's start with volleyball. There are a couple. Well, actually, one team that's doing really well, and your athlete of the week last week featured one of the volleyball players, and that's the Seaford volleyball team. They're currently 7-0 in the league, in the conference, and 8-2 overall. What's your overall impression of what how they're going? Because they seem to be going really well this year.
Yeah, just a talented team overall, all around. Not just Allie Forbes, and the crazy thing about Allie, she's a freshman, so she's just getting into this thing as far as joining the program. But Kiera Rosenmarkle also one up there as a kills leader for the team. They just great. They have a great attacking group between Rosenmarkle and Forbes. And then congratulations to Maris Honeycutt for reaching 1,000 assists yesterday. So and she's a junior at 1,000 assists. So they just have a really talented team, really good coaching staff that's really gotten them prepared. I know early in the season he had scheduled some higher classifications teams like East Chapel Hill, tougher competition to kind of get them ready for conference play, in which they are. Like you said, they're 7-0 in conference play. They're on a 7-game winning streak. So and they just kind of dominated Bartlett Yancey, who was up there with them in the conference, second place. I think they were undefeated before going into that game too. So just they're really starting to kind of dominate in the conference and really position themselves for a good spot in the playoffs. So really good season for them so far.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Bartlett Yancey was undefeated. They're now 7-1. Seaford 7-0 in the conference. North was not doing too bad, and even Chatham Central, Chatham Central is a 1A. When you mentioned Seaford playing up, one of the things folks need to be aware of, if you play up a 3A or 4A school, that really doesn't hurt you when it comes to the playoff season, because those don't really count against you if you happen to lose. What counts more is your conference play and your play within the first within your, in this case, all these schools are 1A, 2A. So that's okay with them. Anything on Northwood, Chatham Central, or Jordan Matthews?
Yeah, Chatham Central, I know they got their four-game winning streak snapped after 3-2 loss to Northmore. I think that was yesterday on Tuesday. But yeah, they have really two good players, Kelsey Hussey, who has 53 assists this week, and then Carol Lee Dotson, who has 20 kills this week. So they've still been getting some good individual play. Hopefully they can get back in the winning column and get on another winning streak. But like you said, yeah, they're not doing too bad for themselves. Woods Charter down there Woods Charter in the charter level, Central 1 Tar Heel conference. They're on an 8-game win streak. They've been dominating that conference as well. I think they had 4 straight games where they beat teams in straight sets. And then on Tuesday they beat Clever Garden School. So they're doing well. I think sophomore Josephine Valgas leading the team in kills down there. And they're also seeing great ball handling from Maya Sheridan, who is also the team's assist leader. So that's another great volleyball team that's really on a roll this season.
Yeah, they're sitting on top of their volleyball standings. They're number 1, 4-0 record in the conference and 8-1 overall, and actually the best record of any of the conference teams. Chatham Charter's also in that same conference. They're sitting right now at 2-2 win-loss record, 2-5 overall record. Interesting thing about Woods is last year they didn't make it into the playoffs and did advance a few rounds. So, and I don't think they lost too many people to graduation. So they seem to be in pretty good shape. Anything else about volleyball here in Chatham County?
No, nothing else.
All right, let's hit on soccer. Made Carolina 1A, 2A soccer standings. You want to start? Where do you want to start off with on the soccer scene here in Chatham County?
Well, I guess we can start off with the best team in Jordan Matthews. Let's see, I had some stuff written down with Jordan Matthews, but yeah, They're first place in the conference by far, 3-0-1 in conference play. They remain to be unbeaten. And then, they just recently tied with North Moore, I think was right there, up there with them in the conference, 4-4. And then, they won over Southeast Alamance 2-1 on Monday. So they're just on the roll. And I was talking to Coach West AD at Jordan Matthews yesterday. He said, that program's just a continuum. So I will definitely look forward to seeing their big matchup against Seaford. I think that's next week. That's a in the county in county matchup. But Seaford is also doing pretty well, despite they lost 5-4 to Northwood on Monday in the back and forth battle. It came down to the end, and so they have a big matchup, Seaford, tonight against Northmoor, who is 5-0, 5-0-1. And they're also Seaforth is third in the conference behind Northmoor and Jordan Matthews, so they're right up there with them. So for that conference, those are the three big teams, and like two Chatham County teams are in there in the mix. For Chatham charter schools, hasn't been as successful this year. Chatham Charter, they haven't won since the first game of the season. I think they're 7-1. They did break their 7-game win streak recently. They tied with Asheboro Hybrid Academy Monday 3-3, and they'll be against Woods Charter tonight. Woods Charter, they're 0-6, and they lost to River Mill on Monday, so they could get their first win tonight. That could be an opportunity for Woods Charter to get in the winning column and get their season, kind of turned around as well.
Yeah, the Woods Charter boys have been really inconsistent. My kids actually went to Woods Charter, and on the boys' side, they have been inconsistent. They've had some really good seasons, and then last couple haven't been that hot. Coach Stewart's the girls' soccer team last year made it to the championship game, the Woods Charter girls, but that season doesn't start until the springtime. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for soccer. What else let's talk about track and field, because there have been some track and field cross-country events going on in Chatham County. You mentioned one before we started that happened this past Friday. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that one?
Yeah, Friday Night Lights Festival. And C4 participated in that one. They were the only Chatham County school to run in that one on Friday. The boys finished 10th out of 40 teams, 40 schools in the 5K Invitational. The girls finished 12th out of 38 teams in the same race. And for the boys, C4 got a winner in the individual winner, Jack Anstrom, finished first in the boys Invitational 5K with a time of 16:13. And then for the girls, the first two to cross the finish line for Seaford came with Catherine Leonard. She was 53rd place with a time of 21:43. And then there was Emily Jump they came in 55th place with a time of 21:46.2. And so also Coach Mitchell, head boys coach at Seaford, and Coach Smith, they had JV runners run varsity times in that event. So they're very optimistic about their team and their team's future. They're really getting focused for next Saturday. They got the Adidas Cross Country Challenge in Cary, so they really want to do well in that one as they get their cross country season kicked off.
All right, I think that wraps it up sports-wise. I know we didn't really touch on tennis. We'll get a little bit more of that on our next live stream next week, folks. Again, we're working the Scrum method. I know this week is better than last week. One of the suggestions that folks came back with is, hey, have an agenda of lists of items that you're going to be touched on. So I think that's a big help here. And I was about to say, one of the other things we were told is cut down on the ums. So I'm keeping an eye on my ums. Coming up this Friday, more football. What's going on with the football scene this Friday, Asheebo?
Yeah, so like I said, I'll be at Friday's matchup between Jordan Matthews and Northwood. That is, both teams coming off of a win in that one. I think that one could be a pretty good game. I would favor towards Northwood as far as winning, but Jordan Matthews, like I said, they celebrated last week. They have the pieces, they have the talent, and I think they can give Northwood a good game in that one. Chatham Central, they have Bartlett Yancey, another game that I think another opportunity for them to get their first win of the season. And that one, I think Bartlett Yancey is also winless. I'm not sure. I have to check the record, but I think they've won one, but they're still not one of the best teams in the conference. But Chatham Central has a good chance of getting one there. So, and Seaford is, like we said, they're going 2 Cummings, tough one, talented Cummings team. They're 3-1. So we'll see.
All right, so folks, that's what's going on Friday. You want to give us a sneak peek as to what you got coming out in the paper next week, or do you just want to keep that a secret for right now?
We're going to keep it a secret for right now.
All right, sounds good. Hey, folks, I do want to say, if you've been watching this, Asheebo's got a smile on his face. I think he's enjoying it. I think so. Hey, did you ever get that hamburger at the Chatham Central game? Because I think one of the moms said they'd get you a hamburger at the game.
No, I didn't. I didn't go. I was too busy talking on the field, talking to Coach Johnson and Coach Little and his family. So I didn't make my way over there, but appreciate the hospitality. Chatham Central was great. Loved everyone there. So had a good time.
Well, it's good to hear you're on the sidelines there with the team, because sometimes if you're up in the press box, you don't get as much information out there as you could if you're out there mingling with the coaches and the players. And I know Coach Little, after we did this podcast live stream last week, he made a note that you were doing a good job. So I'm glad to hear that. So folks, look, if you're out there and you see Asheebo, and let him know he's doing a good job. Tell him you read his article, athlete of the week and the other stuff, and pick up a paper on Wednesday. Or if you don't want to bother picking it up, you can subscribe to the paper. So we've got all those opportunities. Asheebo, you want to wrap this up? Let anything else we need to let folks know?
Yeah, not much. Just we have another round of stories coming out next Wednesday. Definitely we'll have a gamer for the Jordan Matthews and Northwood game, story on that one. So just keep an eye out who we're highlighting. We're keeping an eye on athletes and other sports for athlete of the week. So also if any coaches can please give us stats and results, that would be great. And yeah, that's all.
Oh yeah, go ahead and mention your Twitter account, because folks, he's putting out stuff on Twitter. It's not just in the print paper on Wednesdays. There's also the online version of the Chatham News and Record, and Asheebo is putting out stuff on your Twitter account. So what's your Twitter account again?
My Twitter account is at ASHEEBO, capital R38. And yeah, if you follow my Twitter account, I got, especially when I'm covering games, I'll get clips, scores, live updates, and then after the game, post-game interviews with coaches and players. I got them on there. So please follow my Twitter if you want some more video content and, up close and personal content as well, as if you were there. That's what I tried to do. So, yeah.
Definitely worth the follow, folks. He's out there. He's not just sitting in the press box. He's interacting with the coaches and the players, and he's doing a fantastic job so far. So, folks, we will see you next week, and thank you for watching, and we're going to end this live stream in a couple